On the tail end of heavy rain and flooding, we're now shifting to the threat of wind. I'll walk you through what to expect tomorrow.
Tonight, an update and positive development in North Idaho College's years-long quest to keep its accreditation. We'll break down what it means for the school.
So I'm not going to swear on camera, so I'll just say that's baloney. It was a public space at a public school.
Plus, 2 days after a North Idaho woman was dragged out of a town hall meeting, we are learning new information about what happened, and we're hearing from a woman who witnessed the whole thing tonight.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 News Night Report. I'm Mark Hanrahan. As crews and homeowners continue to clean up from weekend flooding, we are now bracing for the potential for more rain and even strong winds. Crews just reopened Highway 2 this afternoon after shutting it down last night due to the weather. Joe McHale with WashDOT says the biggest factor in the recent water buildup was the melting snow. He says crews pumped water out of the roadway before tackling all the debris that came along with it. Right now, he says it's important for drivers to keep an eye out for standing water and debris.
Use extreme caution. If it is bad enough to where we feel like it requires a road closure, we will be out there with closure signs and crews, making sure that the public's not putting themselves in danger. But if they could just also do us a favor, turn around, don't drown. We don't want folks driving through any standing water.
In the meantime, McHale also advises drivers to factor in possible delays while driving, but he says the continued rain shouldn't bring floods like we saw last night. Well, with more rain and wind in the future, I want to get right over to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy McGee. Jeremy, how much rain are we talking and how strong of winds are we talking?
Well, rain is going to be somewhat minimal for us from this point forward. But if you're up in the mountains, you're talking some serious snow. And if you're anywhere across the inland Northwest, some serious wind. And wind is going to be the big factor. For that reason, we're under wind advisories. Let's get to those in a second. Let's start with the flood advisories. I think we are through the worst of the flooding, and following tonight's round of heavier rain that has moved through and come to an end, I wouldn't expect any rises in those rivers, creeks, or streams. I think from now on, it's just the subsiding of what we already have. We talked those wind advisories. Here they are, 55 miles per hour throughout the day tomorrow. They will run through tomorrow for the threat of strong winds out of the south and southwest. We are pretty much done with tonight's round of showers. What looks like happens is we see a little bit early tomorrow morning, but notice in the mountains it's snow above 3,000 feet and a lot of it. That snow will persist through most of the day with a few scattered showers making it out of the mountains and down low. I think the thing that will keep our showers minimal here in eastern Washington is going to be that strong wind. It's going to be a dry, strong wind blowing through the region. Everything moves out by Wednesday. Seriously, Wednesday we turn a corner, and a big corner at that. Tomorrow we're under a weather impact alert. That is for the wind. There is also going to be a ton of snow up in the mountains. Wednesday, partly cloudy and a high of 49 degrees coincides with a drop in that wind. Thursday, 52 and partly cloudy, and it's only warmer and sunnier on Friday. We are headed into a very calm, very nice few days ahead, but getting there brings us another day of wind, and that wind has the potential to be more damaging because of how wet the ground is. So we'll keep a close eye on that.
All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. Check back in with you later in the show. As Jeremy mentioned, the rain not the only weather headline that we are tracking tonight. Gusty winds also a big concern for weather forecasters and emergency crews. KREM 2's Cody Proctor joining us live now as we look ahead tonight. And Cody, this wet weather, as Jeremy mentioned, plays a factor in those concerns, right?
That is exactly right, Mike. By the way, I got to mention the wind that is blowing right behind me right now. We're up on the South Hill in Spokane, and we've definitely been dealing with some of those breezy conditions. Not too bad at this moment, but again, the other thing that we're concerned about is now along this wind, this recent weather that we've had with the rain and the snow melt also plays a factor into it, because this ground is now saturated with water, making it less stable and increasing the chances for falling trees. Now, right now, as Jeremy is forecasting and the rest of our KREM 2 weather team's forecasting, we could be seeing wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour for Spokane and the inland Northwest tomorrow. With wind speeds like these, storm damage such as broken tree limbs and power outages are possible. But according to the National Weather Service, downed trees also aren't out of the realm of possibility. That's because the saturated ground means you don't need as high of winds to do damage. Now, luckily, in regards to tonight's quick storm that swept through the region, we haven't heard about too many issues. However, tomorrow could be a different concern for us and bring different issues. We reached out to Avista earlier this evening. They said they're going to continue to keep an eye on those forecasted conditions and that they have crews ready right now to respond in case any power outages do happen. Now, by the way, speaking of tomorrow's conditions that we could be seeing, if you do happen to find a downed power line as a result of any winds, remember, stay away from it. Don't go near it. Instead, report it. In Spokane, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
All right, Cody, thank you very much. Some good advice right there. To stay up to date with the weather conditions, be sure to tune in to Up with KREM starting early tomorrow morning. Plus, get news and weather on your time with KREM 2 Plus. KREM 2 Plus is free to download on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Well, in other news tonight, a North Idaho woman will not be facing charges after she was dragged out of a Republican town hall event in Coeur d'Alene over the weekend. It happened on Saturday, and that story quickly took off on social media. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy spoke with a woman who watched it all unfold.
Chaos and confusion. As a North Idaho woman was dragged from a Kootenai County Legislative Town Hall Saturday, Tanya Coppich shot this video as she sat directly behind Dr. Teresa Borenpaul. They're part of the same Facebook group of liberal women who wanted the chance to address lawmakers.
Like, people are able to ask questions and see if their legislators are okay what's going on in Washington. Like, I thought it would be something more like that.
Instead, witnesses say dissenters to the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee's views were told to shut up. Laura Tennyson is often with Borenpaul at these town halls.
And every single one that we've been to, we have never been able to ask a question.
She admits they were heckling in an effort to get their voices heard.
There were people all over the auditorium, booing, cheering, yelling things out, some in support.
But she says when Borenpaul kept speaking out,
there's an opportunity for you to sound off.
Sheriff Bob Norris tried to pull her out. The sheriff was unavailable Monday, but spoke with KREM 2 News Saturday, saying attendees were warned not to disrupt.
Some that I saw, no less than 10 times they were asked to leave.
We have now learned that Teresa Borenpaul will not be cited for allegedly biting a security officer as she was forcibly removed from Saturday's town hall. Coeur d'Alene's police department now says they have more evidence and videos to investigate. But we do know Lear Asset Management, the security company, has now lost its license. A Coeur d'Alene police spokesperson says they violated city law requiring clear uniform markings identifying them as security. Borenpaul, once a Democratic State House candidate, declined to speak as she looks for an attorney, but she posted she never imagined her right to free speech and public assembly could be stripped so violently.
It sends a terrifying message. I couldn't believe that what I was seeing was happening in the United States of America.
Calls and emails to the security company were not returned Monday. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
The Coeur d'Alene's mayor's office is now weighing in on the situation. They released a statement that reads in part, quote, Mayor Woody McEvers and the Coeur d'Alene City Council are united in our support of equal protection under the law for every citizen. We set a clear expectation that the laws of the state of Idaho and the U.S. Constitution be followed in any interactions with our citizens. The statement goes on to say they support the police chief's effort to investigate the incident. You can read the complete statement on our website right now. Just head to KREM.com. Well, tonight, Post Falls police continue searching for the suspect wanted in connection with a deadly shooting over the weekend. Police believe that Jason Rook shot and killed a man yesterday afternoon at a home on Dorado Avenue. A woman called police to report that she saw a suspect flee the scene on their home camera system and believed her boyfriend had been shot inside the home. When officers arrived, they found a 46-year-old man dead from a gunshot wound. The suspect is the ex-boyfriend of the woman. He is thought to be driving a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee with Idaho plates KJI 17U. Anyone who sees Rook or that vehicle is asked to call 911. North Idaho College received some good news today. Their show cause sanction status has been reduced and they got an extension to fix their remaining accreditation issues. NIC's accreditor, the Northwest Commission of Colleges and Universities, halted parts of the sanction they originally imposed on the college back in 2022. NIC said in their press release tonight that they earned the extension after making significant progress on their accreditation. NIC President Nick Swain expressed, quote, "We are happy they recognized all the efforts and the good work being done at NIC," end quote. Staying in Idaho, the legislature wants to crack down on lying. A new bill would make it a crime to knowingly communicate false statements about another person. The penalty under the bill would be up to a $100,000 fine, up to 5 years in prison, or both. They'd also be on the hook for any damage that law causes someone. Some Republicans voiced concern the bill could infringe on freedom of speech. The bill is now cleared to return for a full public hearing. Law enforcement arrested 3 North Idaho men for sexually exploiting children last week. That news came from Idaho's Attorney General. On Tuesday, authorities arrested 42-year-old Travis McClure for 7 counts of possessing material containing sexual child exploitation. The Coeur d'Alene Police Department helped with that arrest. Then on Wednesday, 28-year-old Dakota Kitchen was arrested for 7 counts of possession of child sexual exploitation material, among other charges. The Post Falls Police Department helped with that arrest. Then on Thursday, authorities arrested 43-year-old Matthew Cash on several charges, including 8 counts of possession of child exploitation material. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website. That's KREM.com. All right, still ahead tonight, the clock is ticking for federal workers to submit a review to DOJ. What happens if they miss that deadline? Plus,
never used the toll road, so there's no reason for me to be receiving this message, obviously.
a scam alert involving toll fees tonight. What to watch out for? Still ahead.